What's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On this week's show, we're going to do a little bit of a grab bag. We're going to cover some recent headlines, their impact on your Dynasty rosters. And I'll tell you someone who's had a great impact on not only me personally as a friend, almost like family, but on you as a listening audience. He is my co-host. He is the man of the hour and the man with the power, Gerald Sinclair. What's good, buddy?
Listen, everything's good. I get the opportunity to sit here, talk football with you, and I get to infiltrate the ears of every listener that is out there. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is yet to be seen. But for me, it makes me lucky, and I'm happy to do it. How in the absolute hell are you, my friend?
I'm a busy guy, a lot going on, but can I be honest with you? Can I tell you a little secret? I don't think
All
my
right.
son or wife listens or my employers. Maybe they do. I'm not sure.
Fire away.
I really like cherish this time we get to spend together. It's not because I love you like that. It's just that I love coaching baseball. I love my job. I love my wife. But all of those things feel like a chore. Obviously the work thing, that's why they pay you. They pay you
Yeah.
to show up and do the job. But this is a blessing, man. Getting to hang out with you and this listening audience, building our dynasty rosters, talking football. And man, we got a lot going on, but we're going to talk about some rookies. But I got to be honest, we talked about some rookie content last week.
Yep.
Couldn't quite get a guest wrangled down. That just speaks to not that people weren't willing. I just couldn't get a commitment for this time slot. I heard a couple of but not Tuesday. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, the show's Tuesday. So we're gonna have some people eventually here on the podcast. We'll have some guests, but I'll just be honest, I'm happy talking to you.
Hey, I love to hear it. Happy to talk with you. Let's get into it. What do
Man,
we got?
let's get into real quick. We're on YouTube. If you're not, if no, you might say Memphis. I don't watch YouTube. Okay, that's cool. You don't have to watch YouTube. You know what you could do, Jerry?
What can they do?
They could easily just go to iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or whatever you're listening to this podcast on and leave us a review. It's that simple. But if you do like YouTube or you have a YouTube or know how to spell YouTube, your kid has a YouTube, just go over and subscribe. They won't notice. I mean, they can work it in between the Minecraft videos and, like cooking shows. It'd be great. Little Dynasty Warzone in there, right there on YouTube. And then you can continue to listen on the podcast app that you just left a review on. Makes sense?
Easy.
Easy. Easy money. Easy money. The fastest and freest, I made that word up, freest way to help the show is subscribing, leaving a review, and interacting with the show. It just bumps us to the top of the old algorithm. And that's what we're trying to do here, trying to grow the brand, Jerry, for the brand. Isn't that like the thing these days?
Yeah, I will not be suplexing anybody off the top rope like Pat McAfee did, but he had a good and our man, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Austin 316 showed back up at WrestleMania. I didn't watch it, but I did get to see that, and let me tell you, my pants were so tight, my friend.
People would probably think that, hey, I didn't tune into this for the WrestleMania recap, and I'll be honest, I did not watch.
No.
I forget what I was doing on Saturday. It wasn't anything. It wasn't like I was watching the NCAA tournament or anything, but I knew I would see everything I wanted to see via social media.
Yep.
God bless Twitter.
Yeah.
All the 2-minute videos, Instagram. I got the gist of what my man's. Here's the thing. It was 19 years between appearances at WrestleMania for him.
Bro, and I mean he's an older guy, and he's out there making it look like he didn't miss a day.
If I remember correctly, 57 years old. Looked great.
God.
Looked absolutely great. Testosterone replacement therapy. I mean, I'm here for it all the way. I'm just waiting for insurance to cover it. And people are like, well, what about testing? What about testing? When you compete in a regulated sport, then you're tested. But we'll go down that a different day. That's a different take, Jerry. But speaking of takes, are you ready for everybody's favorite segment?
Oh.
You know what it is, Jerry. It's good people with bad tweets. Now, I don't want to make it feel like, as someone who's been doing this for a long time, we've been doing the podcast together for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in June. Been doing content for over 5. So I don't want to rough up the newer people. I want them to feel welcome in this space.
Sure.
Because not everybody that is new sucks. Some people, I was new once. So were you. Some people might say I suck then, I suck now. I don't know. I don't think so. But I think I have some takes. I think we've managed to make it this long with some takes.
Sure.
But we have Dennis, and Dennis is newer-ish, and his handle is @DaddyFFL. I don't know what it is about this new generation and daddies. They've got a weird parental fixation on daddies, and I know Steffi Smalls. She uses daddy for everything. There's the podcast Call Her Daddy. Everything's about a daddy. So @DaddyFFL, he tweeted about your Lions, Jerry.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Detroit Football Lions, and Dennis, aka @DaddyFFL, said, if the Lions go wide receiver at the 32nd or 34th overall pick, with the depth at wide receiver in the draft, I assume they will. It's likely ASB, I'm assuming he means Amon-Ra St. Brown, is 4th or maybe even 5th in the pecking order. And his pecking order is Hawk, Chark, Rookie, Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, question mark. Now, I'm going to let you go first, resident Lions fan in the hoose. Take it away, my friend.
How does someone come up to this conclusion if you're not just trolling? Would be my main question. The things
hold on. I got a question. We'll give you a minute to filibuster.
Okay.
Do daddies troll? Is that what daddies do? Are they trolls? I'm still going to the Urban Dictionary to try to piece this whole daddy concept together, but keep going.
Amon-Ra St. Brown did things in, what was it, like a 6 or 7 game period that TJ Hawkinson has not done in his career.
A rookie stretch, not since the rookie season of Odell Beckham Jr. have we seen a run like
obscene.
This. Yeah, it was, and as good as his was, OBJ's was even better. Sorry.
Right. And we're going to talk about Hawk being number 1. We're going to talk about DJ Chark, who's never done anything of the sort, being number 1. We're going to talk about a rookie coming into the NFL, adjusting to the league. And we're not talking about the number 1 wide receiver that's coming out of the league. That's going to be wide receiver 4, 5, 6 that we're going to be getting at either 32 or 34. What does Amon-Ra St. Brown have to do to get some damn respect? Clearly, he has a rapport with Jared Goff. Clearly, they love each other. Clearly, once Dan Campbell started calling plays, he specifically funneled the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he obliged. I think that is just a troll job. And I honestly don't know how you can have any take outside of saying that you're just trolling. Like, you're just trying to be the contrarian to the hype that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. And maybe the Amon-Ra St. Brown hype has gone a little too far. I won't argue against that. I think that's fair. But piss off. Like, that's lazy, that's stupid, and you're just doing it just to be a turd.
Can I be the first to say that I have not been the biggest believer or supporter of Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yep.
And so I'm not a fan like you are. You're a big Amon-Ra St. Brown guy.
True.
But I saw this tweet and this combination of words put together, and I was just like,
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
I'm what? I mean, if you know anything about football, if you've done any research, Jared Goff is very reliant on those he can rely on. Go back and look at how he hyper-targeted Cooper Kupp. Now, this was the one thing, I will agree to this, that going into 2021, that there was some real question for me with a guy that I love in Cooper Kupp, because I knew Jared Goff loved Cooper Kupp. I knew Jared Goff hyper-targeted Cooper Kupp. And it was fair this time last year. If you had real questions about who would Matt Stafford favor, would it be Cooper Kupp or Bobby Trees? Ended up being Cooper Kupp, fine. That's a real question. But in the case of Amon-Ra, is the quarterback changing as of today?
Mm-mm.
Now, I've seen mock drafts where real life people are actually drafting Malik Willis to the Lions. That's a different good people bad tweet for another time. But even if they draft a rookie, to your point, the rookies that I would be worried about if I had Amon-Ra St. Brown on my dynasty roster will be gone. You know, the Garrett Wilsons, the Chris Olaves, Drake London. I do want to talk about him a little bit in the body of the show. Traylon Burks, you know, Jamison Williams. A lot of these guys that I would actually be worried about if I was heavily saturated with Amon-Ra St. Brown aren't the guy. I'll tell you, the pecking order in Detroit is probably going to be something more along the lines of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Hawkinson and Swift, then Chark, then a rookie, especially if the rookie plays along the boundary. Because the one thing Jared Goff has never done a lot of and has never done a lot of with success is push the ball downfield, especially to the boundary. He hyper targets Baker Mayfield's this way. I think we're going to see Tua play this way. They hyper target the middle of the field. Those slot wide receivers, the running backs, and the tight ends will be hyper focused. Now, is DJ Chark and or a rookie in Detroit a thing to look at long term? Maybe, because I don't think Jared Goff's long for this world.
No.
But now is not the time to sell Amon-Ra St. Brown. As a matter of fact, if tweets like this can get you a discount, now's the time to buy. Jerry, what would you buy Amon-Ra St. Brown for?
Late first. 111.
You're a super flex or one QB?
Super flex.
I would go late first,
but
one QB, not super flex.
I mean, even super flex, I'm only taking one QB before then anyway, so that's not a huge difference for me this year. But as far as just to do a little NFL talk, since we're just spitballing this episode, David Donaldson said, "How upset would I be if the Lions took Malik Willis over, all the defensive players? I'd be pissed off."
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
No, I'm just gonna say, like maybe the kid's good, and maybe it works out. You are risking so much to do that, and it's the number 2 overall pick. Like, if they were gonna take a quarterback like that, why didn't they do Tua a few years ago? They had the opportunity and they took a corner. So it's not a good year to have the second pick. I really hope they don't go Malik Willis. I really hope they don't go Kyle Hamilton either, because I don't think taking a safety at number 2 overall is a good pick. But they're the Lions, so I'm excited for Dan Campbell and Holmes, but we'll see, I guess.
The Lions are actually doing it correctly. And if the Lions draft a quarterback this year, it tells me they've not learned a thing. Yeah. But I really think the Lions are doing some really good stuff. We already mentioned they have, thanks to Daddy here, they've got the 32 and the 34 on top of the 2. They're going to continue to add some fundamental key pieces. They've got the offensive line dialed in.
You know what I want to see him do? Just a sidebar.
Sure.
Trade that damn first and go get DK Metcalf.
But this is not a DK Metcalf team yet.
I agree, but he's a young enough asset that it.
But you're going to have to pay him. You're going to have to pay him. Why?
You're not paying anybody, really.
But wait until next year when you have the rookie QB and you can get Jared Goff off of your books. Next year is 2023 is when the Lions, whether they trade for the QB or they draft a QB, it's when they put the final piece of the puzzle together.
If the Lions trade for DK Metcalf, I'm running butt ass naked from Ann Arbor, Michigan to Indianapolis, just so you can see it.
We'll have to post that live on Twitter because YouTube and Instagram
I will then be in jail,
have like filters. You can't post that much nudity there. It looked like a button on a fur coat, but I'd still think it'd get us banned on YouTube. But for me, this is just a bad tweet. This is an attention-seeking bad tweet. If this gets back to Mr. @DaddyFFL Dennis, this is no way to build your reputation in the fantasy and dynasty space.
True.
It is grandstanding, and that might get you off to a hot start, but build your platform on substance that people can get better from, not being a good person with a bad tweet like this. So that is good people, bad tweets. Jerry, who brings us good people, bad tweets?
Is that patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone?
I've heard of it. Patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Newest patron Kyle joined here recently. and been a lot of fun, man. They're like, well, what do you get? Well, you get the group chat, which first of all, I think is great. Last week, you and I did a trade bonus podcast. I was going to record this in my truck today at work on lunch. That's just kind of how my schedule's been lately, a little hectic, but I'm going to record it on Thursday. I have an hour, and I like to use the equipment. That's why you buy the equipment. Going to have the bonus podcast Thursday. And of course, patron leagues, Jerry.
Plenty of them.
Do you not want to be in a league challenged with really good players? I mean, you can go to the FFPC or, there's a couple others where you can pick off the low-hanging fruit. You want to play in some real expensive leagues. They have those out there. Come play in a dirt cheap patron league and get the brakes beat off of you by some of the best Dynasty gamers that you could ever battle against.
And
I'm talking about me, by the way, Jerry.
Uh-huh.
I'm just talking about me.
I
Get the podcast, the group chat, chance to be in patron leagues, and a whole lot more. So head to patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Get on in there, man. It's still $5 a month. You can't even buy a gallon of gas in California for that.
You barely buy it here.
You can get like 1.125 gallons.
Oh yeah,
here.
I'm getting 26 miles with $5. Thank you very much.
I am currently looking for a Tesla. It's not really in my price range. Maybe like a Volt. That's really more my speed, literally and figuratively. The Chevy Volt. I don't know. We'll talk about electric cars another time. But head over to patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Speaking of electricity, it's what keeps the lights on.
True.
Keeps the streaming service going. All that fun stuff. Patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Now, Jerry, I didn't really want to talk about rookies because you know why?
Why?
I couldn't get a guest.
Right.
At least not to come on Tuesday night. And B, I don't like this class very much.
I don't either.
But next week we're gonna dive into round 2 because that's where you make your dynasty riches. What would you say the hit rate of first round rookie picks is with not only us but maybe the dynasty content providing space in general? 75?
No, hell
in the first round?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I would say it's probably closer to 50. Like, I mean, think about how many Devontae Parker, Hakeem Butler, CJ Procises there have been in the world. Like, it's been better as of late, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of Corey Davises and Darius
I was going to say 66.7.
Okay.
Two-thirds.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt with that.
Like in a 12-team league, you're probably going to hit on a good pick 8 out of 12 times. 1 out of 3. I'm sorry, 2 out of 3. 1 out of 3 you're going to bust.
Okay.
I'll give you that. Is that fair?
I'll give you that.
So
I was more pessimistic than you.
So you're a gambler, and here's a bit of Memphis trivia for you. Years ago, I wrote this article and I never submitted it for publication. It was comparing each round of your rookie draft to a type of gambling. Now, the first round is like poker or blackjack. People who are really tuned in and good at the game, more often than not, are going to get it right, are going to get the money, and can sustain success for a long period of time. Fair to say?
Yep.
Okay. So that's first round. So if you're good at what you do, or listen to the Dynasty WarZone because we're good at what we do, 2 out of 3 times you're going to get it right. Because you're right, there is going to be the occasional N'Keal Harry or someone of that nature, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But anywho, the second round, I really consider that more of like craps. You ever play craps?
I have not. It's too intimidating.
Love craps. I did a whole podcast once about how I won the money to buy my wife's engagement ring playing craps. Another reason to go to patreon.com. There's like 180 podcasts, and there's one in there where I literally shared the story of how but if you play craps perfectly, stone cold mathematics, it's 50-50. It's really 50-50. And that's how I feel about the second round. I really feel like somewhere between just knowing who the players are, doing your research, I think half the time you're going to get a hit. And I think the second round is really where you make that bank. If you hit on a second round player, then and hell, these guys probably like an Elijah Mitchell last year, Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. These are the guys that where you hit in the second round are where you can literally overnight change the fortunes of your fantasy team or dynasty team. Would you agree?
I think that's fair.
Because if last year it would not be inconceivable in a draft for a GM to have walked away with maybe a young quarterback. Maybe they walked away with Mac Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Elijah Mitchell. How's that GM doing right now?
They're happy.
Probably did okay in a super flex league to walk away with those guys. You're not supposed to hit like that. So next week we're going to try to dig in. I am working on good old friend of the show, Shane P. Hallam, and we'll see if we can get some second round rookie content. But I wanted to share a rookie story with you. So did you know that when Matt Rule was the head coach of Baylor, that he had a high school commitment from a young man named Kenny Pickett?
Okay, a little spicy.
Now, do you know where Matt Rule plies his trade today?
The Carolina Panthers.
That is correct. Charlotte, North Carolina, head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Do you know what pick they have in this upcoming NFL draft?
Off the top of my head, it's early-ish.
It's the
late single digits.
Six ball corner pocket. And there's a lot of steam. Well, first of all, it came out on NBC Sports Edge, always Roto World to me, that the Panthers are going to have all the QBs in, and there's real steam that the Panthers could take Pickett at 6. Where would this make you take Pickett in a rookie draft? I think last week we had him right around the back end of the first in a super flex.
I think probably right around there.
What would he do for the value of, say, DJ Moore? Robbie Anderson really has no value, but like DJ Moore, I think there's still some Terrace Marshall belief. We like Tommy Tremble here at the Dynasty WarZone. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey. What would that do? Forget Pickett's value. How would that help that offense?
Could it really get worse for somebody like DJ Moore? Like he has had, I mean, bless DJ Moore's heart for not headbutting every quarterback that's gone into Carolina, because they have done the man no favors. And Kenny can sling it. So I think it helps him. I definitely think it helps him.
Yeah, I just found that fascinating. I think I was hoping to squeeze one more year out of Sam Darnold, because there was another blurb on NBC Sports Edge that he could be the starter this year. Just a bad situation there in Carolina. But you have to look at where. Like this is like that Daniel Jones range. Daniel Jones was the 6th pick. So if Kenny Pickett goes in the 6th round, I remember getting Daniel Jones in the 2nd round in Superflex drafts. I would be all about Kenny Pickett there. He's going to get 3 years.
Yeah, if he gets drafted earlier than that, though, I think he's going to go earlier. And I mean, and we're haters of this class too. So
I think it will definitely push his draft capital way up.
I think it'll push up too far for me if.
Where do you think his ADP hits in rookie drafts? And obviously anything above 111, 112. You think he'll go that high?
Think about it. You got the running backs. You'll have Malik Willis, most likely, assuming he goes relatively early, or even if he doesn't, people just love him. Kenny Pickett gets top 10. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's got DJ Moore. You don't think that he's going to be way up there in a lot of your leagues? Like,
where was Daniel Jones going?
But Kenny Pickett is not the narrative that Daniel Jones was coming out either.
Okay, what was the narrative on Daniel Jones?
That he was shit. I don't think that
Kenny Pickett. The narrative is he's shit. He's 24 years old.
I mean, I've been hearing like he's QB2. That's why I think.
Well, he is, and Daniel Jones is QB2 to
I think
Kyler
he's
Murray.
going to get drafted a lot higher than you do. If you think, because I don't think there's a chance in hell that my man is falling to no 10th pick.
Well, then let me help the listeners. That's what we're here for. We're not making content for other content providers. We're making content for Dynasty gamers. You need to go out, and anyone who starts hyping Kenny Pickett in the top 8 of a Superflex rookie draft, you need to go back and search their on Twitter and Daniel Jones. Because either they've had a wholesale change of heart or they're way overvaluing Kenny Pickett. And I like Daniel Jones.
Too. Don't forget about them baby hands, too. You got them baby
hands. Now, if Kenny Pickett were to go to New Orleans, I don't hate it. Indoors. I mean, game against Atlanta, 9 games a year indoors. But like, if you
got a shot to carve out a role for sure, and to be Dynasty relevant for several years. Don't get me wrong.
I'm smelling Daniel Jones 2.0 over again.
I don't think he's going to – I tend to agree with you, but I don't think he's going to be drafted like Daniel Jones was.
Well, that's going to be a shame because all it's going to do is push value down the board to the people drafting a little bit later in the first round. That's why those people are champions.
Yeah.
Because the people in front of them are suckers. All right. I want to talk about Drake London real quick too.
Okay.
So as you know, I consume other football content, not Dynasty related. Don't want to have anyone else's take, but I heard a take today about Drake London. And what did we come up with last week consensus? You have our notes reviewed in front of you.
Yes.
Where did we take him at the 100 what and wide receiver what?
105, wide receiver 3.
Okay. So I was listening to John Middlecoff, ex-scout for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was talking high praise of Drake London, but he had this weird range of comps for him. And I'm like, okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
You want me to start good, bad, or in the middle?
Start with the good one.
Okay, Mike Evans.
Okay.
Mike Evans, very young for his draft class. Kind of plays that big physical outside role. I didn't hate that, but that's a bold comp. You got to remember, Mike Evans is doing something no one else has ever really done in the NFL. I think he has 8 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons,
which is crazy.
Not Randy Moss, not Jerry Rice, Mike Evans. So that's high praise, right? That's high praise. The other comp that he mentioned was N'Keal Harry. Pac-12 wide receiver, big-bodied guy.
Yep.
Tends to beat people out with like more physicality than smooth route running. And for me, I don't take the comp seriously. The NFL is going to tell us. This is just a different opinion. And I only share this because Drake London is very QB dependent for me. I don't think he'll go to Miami, but if let's say he hypothetically goes to the Lions, I don't love that. I don't love how Jared Goff does not push the ball to the outside. Let's say he goes to Philadelphia. I think he'll be gone by then, but do you love him with Jalen Hurts? I mean, how many landing spots would you love for a Drake London that would make you say wide receiver 1 in this rookie class? Can you think of like the Jets? You love him with Zach Wilson?
No, I think he would still be second fiddle to Elijah Moore.
I mean, you start looking around and it's like, again, he's slated to be potentially the first wide receiver off the board, which tells me top 12 to 15 pick. Man, there are some real stinkers in there. The Giants. Now, I don't see the Giants doing it because they just took Kenny Golladay. I think Drake London, when we look back, I think he's going to be the biggest faller for me. Does any of this hold weight with you? I'm just kind of like thinking through Drake London before he gets actual NFL draft capital and everybody starts freaking out. Because when you think about this stuff proactively and don't wait till the situation develops and then just react to it, you don't tend to make as many of those mistakes we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I had him so far up really is not because I think the man is awesome. Because he does scare me a little bit. Big dudes like that. Hey, Hakeem Butler. I mean, if you want me to live with my misses, Hakeem Butler was one of them. And they look pretty effing similar for the most part.
All right,
his production was just off the chart, and that's the one thing that keeps me a little more optimistic about him because his production at USC his last year was ungodly. Now, granted, it was
On a per-game basis, yes.
Yeah.
But he does get hurt.
True.
He's never played more than 10 games in a college season. Never once. Never once.
Good.
And now all of a sudden he's going to magically show up in the NFL and play 17. So if he plays even if he plays 16 games this year as a rookie, okay, that would be double his average per season at USC. That's not a red flag? Not even a little bit?
Yeah. I mean,
so let me hit you with some potential landing spots, okay?
Okay.
I don't think the Giants would take him at 5. I don't think Carolina would take him at 6. Could the Giants take him at 7? Or the Falcons take him at 8? I don't think Seattle would take him at 9 unless they do end up trading DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
The Jets at 10? Do you love that?
No.
Okay, you don't love it. What about with the Commanders? Because that's where he's currently mocked per tankathon. The Commanders with Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, Antonio Gibson in the backfield, and Commander Carson Wentz as the QB. Do you love that?
Well, I mean, he's a pretty Michael Pittman-esque sort of player. Talk about everything about him. And
what about Garrett Wilson? I'm sorry, not Garrett Wilson. Excuse me. What about Houston?
No.
Okay. I mean, so
good. I want Davis Mills as QB or wide receiver too. Nah, no thanks.
What about Baltimore? They've been rumored to be in the wide receiver market again.
Next.
Philadelphia?
No.
So there you go. If he goes in the first half of the NFL draft, where does he go that you absolutely look around and go, fuck, I love that?
Yeah, nowhere.
Okay. That's my thing. And this is based off of a lot of things. This is a multi-pronged thought concept. It's a guy who's never played that many games in college, going to potentially a bad quarterback situation where he has to be the savior of the wide receiver room.
At 21 years old.
Not even. He won't be 21 until July. So I'm telling you, it's red. I'm not seeing the green flag. I'm not seeing the go draft this guy. Give me a go. Outside of what you've seen on tape in the Pac-12 in 8 games, I get he had shitty quarterback play in college. This ain't the Pac-12. Give me a green.
It's not necessarily Southern California either. Like I don't, I know we have Australian listeners and listeners from everywhere, every corner of this planet. A lot of you live in warm climates, but if you have ever tried to catch a football when it is cold and it is windy and it's 22 degrees and it's rainy, that shit hurts your hands and it's hard to breathe, especially once you start running and those cheeks start getting beet red. So, I mean, it's a different type of ball game. So, I hear you.
I just brought it up because
we have more data points with him. That's what I will say. We have the pro day coming up on the 15th, I think. And then we have the draft capital. We have the potential landing spot. So I'm not casting him off yet, but I am also ready for it, trepidatious with you. And I'm definitely open to having him slide down. I don't really see a situation where he goes up, though. I will say that.
And I just bring it up as, like, again, something to think through. That's all we've ever wanted you to do as a Dynasty WarZone listener, is think about what the information is telling us. And I'm just seeing more red flags than green flags, and that could change with the pro day. That could change with the landing spot. A lot of things could change, but he does not feel like a prospect that is situation proof, and that is going to be able to overcome. Like Justin Jefferson, I think Justin Jefferson could have overcome anything. I think Jamar Chase could have overcome just about any landing spot.
I think Jamar Chase for sure,
but I don't think Drake London can. I don't think he's QB proof. I don't think he's situation proof.
I agree. I think for the most part, that's sort of everybody, though.
Yeah, in this class, I was listening to, I think it was Peter King or maybe Greg Cosell or someone. They were like, if the best wide receiver in this class would have come out in last year's class, which was another really good class, where would the highest 2022 wide receiver have ranked in the 2021 class? And
definitely pretty behind Chase, definitely behind Waddle.
They had the best one.
Smith.
Yeah, that was behind Smith. Most people had him like the 4th. So whoever you have as 1 in this class, the thought concept is they're not even as good as like the top 3 last year.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Think about it. All right, Jerry, you know what we all love to do in Dynasty. What's one of the best parts of Dynasty?
Drafting.
You and I, No. Well, you and I do it all the time. We trade.
Oh,
Trading.
Okay.
The
I
Eagles-
had a 50-50 shot, and I flipped heads, and I always called tails. That was my bad. Anyway,
Tails
go.
never fails, buddy. But the Eagles and the Saints made an actual NFL trade.
Yes, they did.
So the Saints are getting pick 16, pick 19, and pick 194. The Eagles get pick 18, pick 101, pick 237, a first next year, and a 2024 second. If this is one of the best magic tricks that Howie Roseman has pulled off, how do you get that much for those two picks?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a good deal. And I mean, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about this draft? If he's trading one of his first out of it to get one next year?
you know what it tells me? Mr. Jalen Hurts has exactly this season to figure it out. Which is not an indictment on Jalen Hurts. I think if you've learned anything about the NFL, and that's the one thing, is that like the tools and tips and tricks that worked in the NFL 5 years ago don't work now.
No.
Same thing in Dynasty. The things that made you a successful Dynasty gamer 5 years ago will not make you a successful Dynasty gamer now.
It's like technology. Exponentially grows, exponentially changes in Dynasty.
Information cascades so much faster. Your league mate has gotten sharper, so you have to think about it. What it tells me is that they're wanting to get that extra draft capital in 2023. Why? Would you say that there's a good quarterback class next year in 2023?
I would say that.
And if you were a GM who's planning ahead for that draft, wouldn't you want to load up your war chest to be able to go up and potentially get one of those QBs next year?
I absolutely would.
Is it within the realm of possibility that Jacksonville's going to suck again this year?
Yeah.
And if they can finish like inside, let's say, is it inconceivable to think Jacksonville picks in the top 3 again next year?
It's definitely conceivable.
Could you see a world where, and again, this is all hypothetical, where Jacksonville either A, would be moving off of the savior, Trevor Lawrence, or they'd be willing to move that top 3 pick for, say, 3 first-round picks like San Francisco gave up last year to get Trey Lance? You think that's inconceivable?
I do not think that's inconceivable.
So if you're Howie Roseman, does it make sense that you're just moving those extra picks down the road because you don't like this QB class?
I agree.
You're going to give – and so what does that tell you if you have Jalen Hurts on your roster? I'll tell you what it tells me. If you're not a contender, now is a great time to be shopping Jalen Hurts. Is an absolutely wonderful time to be moving Jalen Hurts. Because what would you say the odds of his being successful enough to keep that job going into next year? What does he have to do?
Well, I mean, the Cowboys are still going to probably win that division. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for them.
And the Commanders are, we can make fun of Carson Wentz all we want, but that's a team that made the playoffs with some combination of Tyler Heineke and Alex Smith 2 years ago and weren't horrible. I mean, they're picking like, 11, 12? I mean, they were probably like, 7 and 10 in that range? Ron Rivera's a good coach. Sure. And I think Washington, with even serviceable QB play, can be in the mix there. So do you see Philly winning the division?
No, not even close.
And do you see Jalen Hurts being the QB1 here next year? What are the odds?
In 2023?
Correct.
I don't think he is.
I
do sort of disagree that now's the time to trade him, though, because I still think he's going to score a lot of points.
That's why I said if you're not a contender.
I see.
If you're a contender, I have no problem if you're going to hang on to Jalen Hurts.
I still don't want to ride him out, though, if I am a contender, though.
Again, if I'm a contender, if I feel like I'm a top 4 roster in my Dynasty League, I am 100% going to hang on to Jalen Hurts because I can always figure out another QB for 2023 this time next year.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But if I am a contender and I can do exactly what the Eagles have done or what the Lions have done and can get a lot of future picks for Jalen Hurts, even if you got to go 23s and 24s, same as the Eagles did, those picks are only going to continue to help you in your rebuild if you're rebuilding. So if you've got Jalen Hurts and not much left, man, go get Davis Mills, maybe a 2022 first and a 2023 second. Is that fair? You think you could get that done?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
And would you say the odds of Davis Mills keeping the starting job in Houston are much different than Jalen Hurts keeping the starting job in Philadelphia?
I mean, no, because I really only think. I mean, I think he probably has a shorter leash this year, but I think the extent of both of their careers is just 2022.
At least as starters, my man, is at least as starters. So
Yeah.
why not go get a guy with equal odds or close to equal odds?
Yeah, but also if you're not the contender and you're trading for Davis Mills, you don't really give a shit if you're winning or losing anyway. So even if Davis Mills loses the job, now your pick is going to be the 101. Plus, you've got this other guy's first, so you can mingle however you need to.
And if you get like a mid to late first, which you're probably going to get from most contenders if they did well last year, is probably going to be like that 106 to 112 range. Cool.
Yep.
A great pick in that range for a contender is whatever your team needs. But as a rebuilder, the world's your oyster.
Correct.
Hey, I really love this wide receiver because wide receivers, they have a great shelf life, especially if they hit. I don't know that I go running back. That's really more strategy. I just really wanted to throw that out there because it was a real life trade that I think had some hidden dynasty implications.
I agree. It was spicy too. I mean,
It was.
honestly, like that style of trade, very common in dynasty leagues right now.
What do you think the Saints are trying to do there with 16 and 19?
I don't know.
I mean, they lost the left tackle. They lost Teron Armstead. I think maybe they want to get a wide receiver to pair with Michael Thomas, and they feel like they have to get ahead of Green Bay and Kansas City, who are both picking in the 20s. I don't know. Just a couple of things. Maybe they think a left tackle or a potential right tackle is going to slip down the draft board, and that they want to be in that range to be able to capitalize on that with a couple of picks. Those are some of my thoughts as I saw this trade come out yesterday. I want to hit some vet news.
Okay.
It says Gronk 50-50 to come back this year, and that he realized what retired life was once before, and that he may actually not come back, but he did say Tom Brady's the only QB he's catching footballs from.
I think that's fair to assume. I mean, how do you retire and then when Tom Brady moves and then you go to Florida? And, I don't know. I agree. Gronk doesn't do anything for me though. Like I
think Gronk. I think what Gronk will do is Gronk will not sign anywhere. He will not retire, fill out any paperwork. I think Gronk actually may not even roll into this team until like Halloween.
Right.
I mean, why? They have Cameron Brate under contract. Why not just because? I mean, who's going to challenge them in the South?
No, and like when do you want Gronk? You want Gronk to catch touchdowns when you're in the red zone in the playoffs. Gronk doesn't want to go out and practice. Gronk doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play.
He doesn't want to grind.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to play Week 7 against Miami or whoever. And I'm
just say Week 7 against Atlanta.
Yeah, like he doesn't care about that. If it's the divisional round, though, yeah, you bet your ass. I could see that for sure.
I could see Tampa Bay having this division well in hand by Thanksgiving, if not sooner.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, like December 1st, Gronk signs.
So you've got Gronk. What the hell are you doing with him?
I'm selling.
For what?
A second in a tight end premium league.
Yep.
I'll take a second. I'll take any second.
I agree.
I'll take any second for Gronk in a tight end premium league because you're not going to get much for him in a non-tight end premium league. I think you can maybe package Gronk and a little something and maybe get something even better in a must start too. And if that other GM pushes back, it's that filibuster of, oh, come on, he's coming back. He's not going to not play with his best friend. I think the narrative I would sell as someone trying to move Gronk is like, do you really think Gronk's not going to play this year and not go into the Hall of Fame at the same time with Tom Brady? Gronk's going to play with Brady. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame the same time with Brady. You want Gronk. I want that pick. Let's make it happen.
I'm with it.
All right. Another bit of news. Devontae Parker, another wide receiver trade. I don't think it was the one that got the world so caught up as the Tyreek Hill, and I don't think it was the trade they wanted in the
did not get the juices flowing in the same direction.
I kind of missed this over the weekend, and I caught up on it 24 hours later. What was your initial thoughts on Parker to the New England in division? How random is that?
Yeah, that's something. I mean, that's a different conversation, but that is something. I think it was a good spot for him. Like, am I betting on Devontae Parker getting some sort of resurgence, like his year 5 breakout or whenever the hell that was, the one time he was ever relevant? I mean, you can't have Jalen Waddle, you can't have Tyreek Hill, and then think that he's going to be relevant at all. So it gives the opportunity, if he has been stashed on your bench deep down with the cobwebs that you've never put into the roster, maybe it gives you a chance to flex him every once in a while if he ends up being a guy with Mac Jones. I think it's good for Mac Jones too.
I will say this at value. Don't hear what I'm not saying. At value, at what you could get them for at their respective ages, because they're about the same, in their current situations, I would rather have Devontae Parker plus rather than Allen Robinson. Write that down. I think we live in a world where because I think Allen Robinson played 11 games last year. I think Parker played 10. I think we live in a world where, especially if OBJ winds up re-signing with the Rams, I think we live in a world where Devontae Parker could outscore Allen Robinson. What do you think about that for a bold take? You weren't expecting that, was you?
I wasn't, but now that we're talking about it, I actually don't think that's that bold. Like when you say it, like the words come out of your mouth, it seems like it would be a hot take. But if you actually think about it, I mean, what is the pecking order in LA with the Rams?
Well, if we've learned anything, the pecking order, and maybe it's not the QB, maybe it's the coach, but the pecking order is Cooper Kupp, then it's Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, right.
Then it's Cooper Kupp, then it's someone else. And I'm not even sure who the someone else
and they'll
is.
probably run the ball more too, so.
It's like what they talk about like on FM radio, nothing but the hits, nothing but the hits. We play all the hits. That's the LA Rams. It's nothing but the Cooper Kupp. We play Cooper Kupp, top 40 Cooper Kupp all the time in LA. So I don't think it's bold at all. I mean, who is he competing with? We know New England is terrible at drafting wide receivers. I mean, he's competing with journeymen like Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne. I mean, N'Keal Harry. I mean, we'll be honest, Allen Robinson has a much more prolific track record than Devontae Parker. But I think in a 1 year, age 29 season.
Thanks to that one time 6 years ago. But yeah.
And I just think I would again, if let's say we're doing a startup, Jerry, we're going to be doing more startups at patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. I'm going to let someone draft Allen Robinson in like the 8th or 9th, and I'm going to wait and scoop up Devontae Parker in like the 14th, 15th.
Oh, yeah.
It's free. It's free money. If I could get Devontae Parker in a second for Allen Robinson, he gone. Because I think on a points per game basis, I'm going to break dead ass even. And I'm getting a free second for a 29-year-old wide receiver because I'm getting another 29-year-old wide receiver. All right. I do have some more wide receiver news, but I have a couple of other running back nuggets first.
Whatever you got. Love chicken nuggets. Keep them going.
That's what I had for dinner, man. Nuggets are great.
Dinosaur shaped?
Absolutely not. Chick-fil-A shaped, as a matter of fact.
Oh, see, we don't have Chick-fil-A's up here. Anyway, running back nuggets.
It's because Michigan's a poverty state. Marlon Mack, former Colt, signed with the Houston Texans. Is he the RB1 there? What do you think about Mack in Houston?
It's good. I'm not selling the farm for Marlon Mack. Don't get me wrong. I still think they're going to draft somebody. But
who in this class not named Breece Hall or Kenny Walker really gives you pause? If you already
I agree. I totally agree. But even if it is one of those guys, I do think that it'll take a shot at him because I think Marlon Mack's going to be the guy that gets the first crack. Even if it's Breece Hall and they take him early, I still think Marlon Mack will get the first crack at it. This is the NFL. They don't just go, okay, rookie, you get that. Don't you shake your head at me. You better come strong if you're going to shake your head at me like that.
What I'm saying is that, again, think about Houston, think about who runs Houston. That's Nick Caserio. He's from that Bill Belichick tree. You've never seen Bill Belichick really go over the top. He's always brought in journeyman, mid-round running backs. It's not to say that they may not pick up a Tyler Algier, a Kyron Williams, someone like that in this rookie class. But here's the thing. I think, we talked earlier about where, I said that, who did I say I was going to sell now? We just talked about it earlier in the show. It's your fault.
Who are we talking about?
I don't know, but we were talking about, selling someone now as opposed to selling them in season. It was Jalen Hurts.
Oh, Jalen Hurts. Yep.
It was Jalen Hurts, Jerry. God, I got to do everything around here. But this is the opposite. Like Marlon Mack, no one's going to give you much for him.
No. Yeah, he's free.
But what is the percentage chance that Marlon Mack could have a James Robinson-esque season that James Robinson had last year? Where was James Robinson this time last year? Him signing in Arizona was an afterthought. Now, in fairness, Arizona has a guy named Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, and James Robinson scored like 20 touchdowns. But there is a world where Marlon Mack could be very helpful to your dynasty roster now. And if he does get off to a decent start, he's going to be much more flippable come, say, week 6 than he ever is right now today. Like it's the James Robinson corollary all over again.
And he's free-ish.
Yeah, I think you may catch it again, this was another one of those underwhelming bits of news that people really weren't making a big deal out of over the weekend. But I think this is sneaky good for Marlon Mack.
I'm with you, and like I said, I think he's free, and he's definitely going to be free during the rookie drafts.
And here's the thing: it's a PPR world. Davis Mills never going to be considered fleet of foot.
No.
So I love this from a PPR. He could have like sneaky. Hey, you know what? He's on the back end of my roster. He's going to be the perfect guy to go target if you get like an injury in season. I'm not telling you go get him now. Now, if I could give like a mid rookie third for Marlon Mack or a fourth, if you catch someone napping, I'd go do that right now.
I mean, in draft, you're definitely going to be able to give that because somebody's going to want, I don't know, Wan'Dale Robinson or something. And you just be like, hey, you can have him. Like, I know that's your man. Let me get Marlon Mack. I'll hold on to him real quick.
Well, this was good news. Let me tell you what could be some potentially bad news. It is reported that Baltimore is not ruling out the possibility of drafting a running back on day 2 or day 3. How many sad trombones would the dynasty world play if they say took again, in fairness, because I don't want to sound like I'm anti J.K. Dobbins, but how many rookie running backs would scare you? Is it just Walker and Breece Hall? But I thought this was funny because I just heard like a dynasty sad trombone.
Honestly, just picture
it's funny. You just like think about it. You see J.K. Dobbins, you see Twitter, and like in your head, I was thinking more like wah, wah, wah,
just like jokes aside though, don't they have to bring someone in?
Yeah, if they don't bring Gus Edwards back, I mean, how can you? I mean, you have to bring in somebody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
I mean, and the free agent market at this point is dry as could be.
Yeah, so I don't think
so. It's to be expected.
If they brought in Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall, obviously, oh my God, that would just be an absolute atrocity. And
that's a poop sandwich for everybody.
I would know that the football gods hated every single one of us and they wanted to torture us. But if they don't, like even if it's somebody like Zamir White or James Cook or something, like somebody that we like, I still think J.K. Dobbins is going to get the lion's share of that workload. And no matter who it is, whether it's one of these rookies that people like or it's some bum who is never going to amount to anything, they're going to get some work. This is the NFL. People don't get 100% of the work. They don't even get 65% of the work for the most time. So it is what it is. It'll be sad. It'll be sad the moment it comes across the screen because everyone's going to go, oh, no, my J.K. Dobbins shares that I've been holding on to.
For 2 years. So let me give you how this can become a buying opportunity.
Okay.
What you need to do is you need to be watching JK in the preseason. How's he look? Does he look spry? Does he look nimble? You know, what did the local beat reporter say about J.K. Dobbins? Okay. Then you wait until he gets off to a slow start because a guy coming off of an ACL and he actually had multiple ligament involvement in his injury. It wasn't just like a clean ACL.
Runs a shitload too.
And his well, here's the thing. And they could bring in somebody. But here's the thing, by midseason, J.K. Dobbins could be like running wild. But here's the thing, you know how pessimistic Dynasty and Dynasty content providers are. They'll be throwing him out the window by week 4. And then that's where you, the savvy gamer, because you've done your homework, you've read the local blurbs from the beat writer, you've watched those training camp videos, you know that it's going to take these guys a little bit of time to get up to speed. But because you have patience and some forward thinking, you might be able to get some J.K. Dobbins on the cheap if you just hold on, Jerry.
Love it.
All right, we're gonna end this thing with some keep trade cut wide receiver edition. And what do these guys have in common? NFL teams, and it's been reported that all 3 could be available if the price is right. I need to get like a Bob Barker because fuck Drew Carey. I need to get like a Bob Barker. Price is right. Because when I was a kid, Jerry, you're younger than me, but not much younger. Was there anything better than staying home from school and watching Bob Barker, not Drew Carey, Bob Barker on The Price is Right with the Barker Beauties?
Okay, you're the hate for Drew Carey has gone too far, but he is not in the same realm as Bob Barker. I'll give you that. But no, there was absolutely nothing better. That was a staple of everyone's childhood on a sick day or a snow day.
You know what? I'm not a content, what do they call them? Content farmers, engagement farmers. That's what they're called. I'm not an engagement farmer, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post on Twitter as soon as this show's over.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore of game show hosts?
Okay, well, obviously Bob Barker is there, you shitter.
Drew Carey isn't on a billboard of top talk show hosts. Fuck out of here. All right, anyway, keep trade cut. All these guys are rumored to be available. DK Metcalf,
okay,
Terry McLaurin, Brandon Cooks. Keep trade cut. I think it's pretty obvious.
Do you?
I do.
Well, say yours. I know mine.
I am obviously you have to cut Brandon Cooks in Dynasty. No value. His value comes from being on your roster and giving you fantasy points. I think you have to keep Terry McLaurin, and I think you have to trade DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf's name is always going to be worth a lot more than anybody else in this scenario. But I think if everything's equal, I truly believe that Terry McLaurin can score as many points as DK Metcalf in a given season. Now, he may not have the huge spike weeks of a DK Metcalf. So I'm always looking at points per game. Points per game is what wins weekly head-to-head matchups. So that's what I would do. I would trade DK because I get a haul. I'd keep Terry because he's going to give me those points and not the return. And then I'm going to trade Brandon Cook because even though he's going to give you points, no one's going to give anything for him.
So you definitely have to cut Brandon Cooks, which hurts.
You're going to say keep DK Metcalf because you're a DK Metcalf stan. Go ahead.
I am a little, but I'm also I don't know if I want to say it because I think Terry McLaurin is going to have a better 2022 than DK Metcalf is. So if I say that,
I think that's the boldest. I think that's the boldest statement yet.
I think long term DK Metcalf is a better wide receiver, well, a better dynasty asset. That's what I'll say, because I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be absolute dog shit, and I think they are going to be in the running to have either a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Love, and then he's right back up and running with all the hype that there is. But this year, I think it's going to be so ugly. So if I say to keep DK Metcalf, his value drops. And this time next year, he's whatever, wide receiver 5-ish probably for most people, wide receiver like 7 or 8 for us. I think it'll drop to, 8, 9. They'll sort of hit us. I think for right now, it's trade DK Metcalf because his name value does have a lot. and keep Terry McLaurin, because I do think Carson Wentz is actually the best quarterback he's ever had, and it could be very conducive to him scoring a lot of points. But if this was a situation where I had to keep, trade, cut one of these guys right now, and I had to stick with that situation for the rest of time, then yes, you're right. I would keep DK Metcalf and I would trade Terry McLaurin.
I can read Jerry like a book, like one of those old cheap Harlequin romance novels that you used to see.
I mean, how old is Terry? He's like 26 now, right?
He's 26. So DK is clearly younger, Jerry. He is clearly younger. I'm just going to maximize that haul.
I agree.
Of things I'm going to get.
And I think that is the play, because I really, really, really believe, truthfully, from the bottom of my heart, that DK Metcalf's value will be depressed 365 days from now when we do a podcast on April 5th of 2023.
And it's not that I don't like DK Metcalf. I just it's what I can get out of him.
Which is a lot.
And I think for right now, I mean, I've seen it, and kudos to the Dynasty gamers not going hog wild selling DK Metcalf. I don't think the best news has come out. I mean, it would be weird. It would be weird for Kansas City not to have paid Tyreek Hill, who knows the offense, who knows the team, and then turn around and pay that money to DK Metcalf and give up like a couple of first-round picks to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I could totally see Dallas. I know this sounds crazy, but Dallas was allegedly in on the Devontae Parker news. They're bringing in Chris Olave.
Prescott to the move.
They're bringing in Olave for a pre-draft visit. It's clear Dallas is going to do something with the wide receiver group.
Yeah.
So the best days ahead for DK Metcalf's value, if you're a buyer of DK Metcalf, go get him now. If you're a seller of DK Metcalf, sell him when the news gets good. But if you wait until DK Metcalf gets traded to a good spot, you're only going to have to pay more. And if you sell now while he's in a bad spot, you're only going to get less.
Now, what if he doesn't get traded, though?
There's
the pickle.
Well, is he going to get a QB upgrade next year?
I would think. I mean, he has to, because it's dog crap now.
They're going to have at least 2 firsts. They're going to be one of those teams with multiple firsts. They're going to be in the running. I mean, it's going to be Philadelphia. It's going to be Houston. It could be Miami.
I think they're going to be crap. I think they're purposefully tanking.
I think it's a forced tank. I think if you ask, I think Brian Flores was a great example of this when allegedly the owner of the Dolphins was trying to bribe him allegedly $100,000. You know, football coaches don't want to lose.
No, correct.
They know you get one shot at this.
Yes.
So why would you want to lose? So I totally get that, but sometimes the GM and the head coach just cuff your hands and you got to try to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Sure. And that's what starting Drew Lock and Davis Mills and guys like that are. Now maybe they get lucky, but I don't see. I think any team with multiple firsts in 2023 could be in play for a quarterback.
Yep.
There you go, Jerry.
It'll be a fun draft, man.
Dude, here's the thing. We're not talking a bunch of we did talk some rookies tonight. We talked a little Pickett, little Drake London. It's not that we don't like rookies. It's just that I don't like this rookie class.
And I've fallen for that kind of stuff before. In 2016, I hyping up rookies that did not deserve it. Yeah, there was Michael Thomas. Yeah, there was Derrick Henry. But there was a whole bunch of we definitely should not have 2 mentions of Devontae Booker on an episode of a Dynasty show in 2022, but I have today. There's so many guys like that, and Corey Coleman and Sterling Shepard, and just because they are rookies and just because they exist does not mean we should overreact. We are in the business of helping our Dynasty teams, not hyping up rookies and inflating their value.
Well, first of all, I want to help the listener, and I'm not super in love.
I want to help me. I am selfish.
Well, Jerry, I've been helping you for 4 years. Like, I got you, kid. I got you, and I got all these listeners. All right. I am partially stalling the rookie content and full bore until I see where this class is. I feel like there's so much more I can give you, the listener, by talking about this news with these wide receivers, Devontae Parker versus Allen Robinson. What did the trade between the Eagles and the Saints mean for potential shares of Jalen Hurts? There's so many more things that Jerry and I can give you beyond this rookie class, because the real content with the rookies is going to be post-draft in this class.
Agree. And here's the thing. Here's the reason why we do these sort of unsexier topics in a time when we have a platform where it could be very sexy and talk about rookies, because everybody's talking about them. And I don't mean content creators. I mean everybody. And so the ability to exploit that by going after some vets that could be much cheaper and could increase in value at a time like this is the perfect opportunity, which is why we are talking about trying to get Devontae Parker for nothing and Marlon Mack for nothing, because they very easily could be in a role where they're going to have increased value. And then when all of a sudden it's August and he's your running back 5 or your running back 6, and somebody has a running back go down, let me slide Marlon Mack your way, and you're benefiting. So it's what you got to do.
This and where next week we will do some more rookie stuff. We'll try to get our second round going next week. But this is the time these are the kind of moves where you're going to exponentially improve your roster.
Correct.
If you have Marlon Mack, or you can get Marlon Mack or Devontae Parker dirt cheap, and they become anything in season, and you can get out from under even for a 23 third, you have just exponentially helped your future roster. So I'm going to use Jerry as my example. But Jerry of 2023 and 2024 is going to thank Jerry of 2022 for getting these guys dirt cheap, flipping them, and stockpiling his roster with picks that he can turn into other players down the road. This is where you build sustainable dynasties.
And you do it in times when nobody else is thinking about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
When
they are distracted, it is sleight of hand. You get them watching the card trick over here while you're stealing their watch with your other hand. That's what you got to do.
Jerry is telling you how to be a grifter. Well, anyway, we've grifted long enough. Sure. We're going to get out of here. I do want to make sure to tell you about Hate Brand Goods, the new Essentials collection dropping this Thursday. Last week they did a mystery box, Jerry. I love a good mystery box. Yeah, wow. It's like they had like a shorts box and an essentials box, and you pick the size, you have no idea what's coming. Not a bad thing.
No, I mean surprises scare me a little, but I hear
do they? What else scares you? Saving money, like using promo code Memphis at Hate Brand Goods. Does that scare you?
Great. I mean, I don't save money, so I guess it does sort of scare me.
You could save money, Jerry. If you enjoyed saving money and like looking fashionable, you'd go to the Apple or the Android app store. You download the Hate Brand app. It's HVIII. Just throw that in the search function. It comes up. You find something you like. You use promo code Memphis. Jerry, you're doing something you like. You're saving money.
Look at that. I'm learning.
Done and done. So, Hate Brand Goods, go download the app. Dynasty Warzone Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Or if you're not supporting with the old dollar, that's cool. Leave us a review. Apple, Spotify. Go over to YouTube, subscribe. All of these things are super cool and help the show out a ton. Would you agree, Jerry?
It's free.
Free.
It's free.
It's
you
free.
Barbarians. Listen, we know the listener count. We get updates on it. And you know what we also know? Not all of you have done this. Just help these two fine gentlemen out. We are out here.
Maybe a contest, Randy. Jerry. Maybe a contest. Maybe
okay.
a contest.
All right. See, you're nicer than I am. I just wanted to yell at him.
I'm not afraid to bribe people, Jerry. Maybe I've always wanted to be a politician. Maybe you don't know.
Zing.
All right, but I do know it's time to get out of here. So that man's name is Jerry Sinclair. You can follow him at JerrySinDWZ. You can follow me at DWZ Memphis. You can follow the show everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at Dynasty Warzone. Like, subscribe, review, download everywhere. And remember, here at the Dynasty Warzone, we are trying to do what, Jerry?
We are trying to make the world a better place for fantasy football.
You goddamn right. We'll see you back here next week for more Dynasty shenanigans. Bye.
Boom.